Hey, everybody. This is Movie Recap Nation. Today we're going to break down the plot of a cool action movie from 2009, Blood and Bone. Several embittered convicts with shivs in their hands enter the toilet of a maximum security prison where they are going to teach a cheeky guy nicknamed Bogan, who has already been warned about their appearance by his buddy Danny. The fighter reacts calmly to the appearance of a whole gang of scumbags and even offers him to get out of here. The bandits only grin, but immediately regret it when they find themselves smeared on the dirty floor of the toilet. And he warns them that this will happen to anyone who comes at him for no reason. Soon the fighter gets out of jail and rents a room in a small guest house from the owner Tamara. In the evening he comes to the arena where illegal street fights are held by a hustling paintball player. Tonight, even the tough local gangster James decides to watch a fierce battle between street fighters. The mobster pits his best fighter, nicknamed Hammer, against an experienced opponent. The mighty Hammer quickly seizes the initiative and literally turns his opponent's head into a bloody mess. Pinball gives James a decent amount of prize money and gets in the car, where he is waiting for Mbonya, who insistently asks that the guy put him in one of the next fights. In the end, the fighter persuades the organizer, although he does not like to get involved with unknown to him newcomers. It turns out that James works for the international arms dealer Franklin, who tells the gangster to straighten out a case he doesn't want. And James agrees, as he has no choice. And James introduces his new fighter Bond, who looks strangely at the gangster's companion Angela. And this does not like the mobster at all. After a paintball meeting, Bond warns to be careful with James, as he is very dangerous and unpredictable. The next night Bowen has his first fight against the powerful big man and, to the surprise of all assembled, defeats his opponent with a couple of powerful blows. Having seen what his charge is capable of, the paintball is rubbing his hands with pleasure, expecting to make a good score with him. Satisfied, paintball on the way home tells about Angela. James had his eye on the beauty when she was married and expecting a child. A sneaky gangster framed Angela's spouse, and the man was put behind bars. And the bandit struck after the girl. It is not known what became of Angela's child, but she has recently completely dropped her hands and got hooked on drugs. Soon James comes to visit the tree for a family dinner. The company is chatting well at the table, when James suddenly snatches up his sharp ball and kills an MBI while running an errand for Franklin. Back home, a satisfied James tries to talk to Angela, but the girl is silent and looks at him with completely blank eyes. The next day Teddy shows James a video of Bond's incredible fight, after which the gangster becomes interested in the fighter. In the evening, paintball picks up full, and the two drive together to a nearby neighborhood where they agree on another fight. However, this fight too lasts less than a minute as he demolishes his opponent with a powerful side kick. Bowen declares that he is ready to fight against two opponents at the same time, who immediately appear in the arena, but quickly regret their bold act. Ball does not stop there and shouts that he will defeat anyone who dares to enter the arena. There are plenty of those who dare to enter the arena. However, the fighter scatters them all on the sides without much effort, and together with the pin floor that evening pulls off a good score. So passes day after day. Paintball does not have time to negotiate new bouts, and he does not know defeat on his way, and soon becomes one of the coolest street fighters in the city. In parallel, Bond becomes close to Tamara, who treats the wounds of the innkeepers after particularly tough fights. Tamara shares that she has taken custody of 3 children, and despite all the difficulties, she hopes that the children will grow up to be decent people. A close relative, Roberto, helps her, so she is sure that together they will cope with everything. One of the foster children is an active boy named Jared Bow. He pays attention to the kid and even teaches him to stand up for himself in a street fight. James, having learned that one of his friends is leaking information, without a shadow of a doubt chases after the girl and crushes her to death with his car, after which he tells Teddy to clean up the mess. Roberto becomes an unwitting witness to what happened. James decides to check how good the sick man is and puts his best fighter Hammer against him, who is also doped with powerful doping. The bout goes on for a while. However, he not only dodges the deadly blows of the bulky man, but also manages to attack him himself. In the end, Bowen manages to overpower Guardiola and sends him down for a knockout. Afterwards, James invites him to his home for dinner. The next evening, the two arrive at the huge mansion of the gangster, where he, despite the warning, Paintball continues to look at Angela with undisguised interest. The landlord calls Bono in for a private conversation, where he shows off his collection of balls and brags that he's great with edged weapons. James says that he works for Franklin, a major arms dealer and organizer of popular no-holds-barred fights. The host adds that Franklin has a tough fighter, Handsome Price, who has killed 4 opponents in the ring and hasn't lost a fight. James wants to organize a fight between Price, and that will cost him $5 million. But if they win, both can get rich. And the guest promises to think about the tempting offer. Then James tells Angela to convince Bond to participate in the fight. The beauty leads the guest into a cozy room, where he suddenly pulls out a picture of Danny and declares that he was killed for Angela. Angela replies in tears that this is not true. Danny was her husband and James set him up and sent him to jail, where thugs hired by a gangster killed Danny. He says he knows the whereabouts of Angela's son, whom James separated the girl from. The gangster promises to help Angela reunite with her son, after which the two go out to the host, pretending they had a great time together. BOM asks the gangster to lend him Angela for a while. And James agrees, confident that the fighter is now in his hands. Bowen takes Angela to a rehabilitation center, where she will be helped to get rid of drug addiction, after which the woman will be able to meet with her son. Meanwhile, James goes to Franklin, lays $5 million on the table, and offers to organize an epic fight between the process and the patient. Franklin grinningly agrees, confident that his fighter will rip a no-name rookie to shreds. When he returns to the guest house, he finds Tamara sobbing with grief. The woman reveals that James' thugs killed Robert because he happened to witness the murder of a young girl. Bond comforts Tamara, when suddenly James appears in the room. The gangster declares that the long-awaited fight between Price and Bond will take place in a few hours and tells the guy to get ready. Bowles suddenly replies that he did not consent to this fight. This drives James into a frenzy, who snatches a gun and screams that he will kill Tamara and all of her foster children if the fighter refuses, since he bet $5 million on the guy. The gangster walks away. Both realizes that the man left him no choice. James sends a hammer, paintball, which beats up the organizer and threatens him with reprisals. At this point, an armed BOM appears, who shoots the hammer and several more of the gangster's underlings. Soon Teddy, along with a couple of thugs, shows up at the rehabilitation center, intending to get Angela out of there and get her boss back. However, the thugs are already waiting for the paintball and bowling alley, which quickly disposes of all the thugs. Afterward, Bowen calls James and tells him with a sneer that he has dealt with all his henchmen. The gangster tries to keep his composure and replies that he will be waiting for the fighter at the Franklin mansion, where the decisive fight will take place today. Soon he shows up at the arms dealer's house, where he tells James that he won't get away with the murders of Danny and Roberto by a mobster. Surprised to learn that Danny was a friend of Bond's, he calmly confesses to both murders, not realizing that their entire conversation was recorded by the gunman and the paintballer sent the tape off spree. Nevertheless, he goes up against the formidable Price, who doesn't even see fit to remove his jacket. The fighters fight on equal footing and deliver powerful blows to each other. But still, Bond turns out to be stronger, and it becomes obvious to everyone that he will win the fight. When suddenly the fighter voluntarily surrenders to his opponent. James becomes furious, as he did it on purpose so that he would lose his money. James pulls out his sword, about to chop the fighter down. Franklin, thinking this is unfair, orders his men to give the sword to Bond, who turns out to be excellent with edged weapons. After a brief fight, Bowen chops off the gangster's hand and immediately escapes from the mansion, which is raided by the police on a tip from Paintball James. A short time later, Angela leaves the rehab center and rushes to Tamara's guest house, where her native son Jared, who was raised by Tamara for a long time, is waiting for her. Bond has purposely settled here to protect the boy. He realizes that his mission is over. He says goodbye to the people he's grown so close to, and finally goes home. James ends up in jail, where Franklin sickies some thugs on him to teach him a lesson. What do you think of the movie Blood and Bones? Share in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you soon.